So this person wrote, me and my boyfriend were getting serious and he asked me to move in. I make $25 an hour and he's a lawyer, so he makes six figures. He suggested I quit my job and just take care of him and the house, which I agreed to. I have a small savings and a bit in my 401k. He informed me of his law school debt and he's essentially living paycheck to paycheck and is late on his mortgage. He said the reality is we can struggle for a year and make it out of this, or you can leave now. Should debt be considered with relationships? Or should I be working?
Yeah, this is an interesting situation. I guess I wish I could ask follow-up questions because I'm wondering what that year is that he's talking about. Like if we can struggle
Yeah.
for a year, make it out of this, or you can leave now. So I guess I'm just a little confused about that. But all of that aside, I understand moving in with a partner and wanting to create a life together as you're getting more serious. I personally, and again, this is my opinion, but I personally, if I'm not married to somebody, I'm probably not going to be quitting my job and losing my source of income to just be living with somebody. And it really seems like you can't afford to not be contributing at least a little bit, especially since he says that he cannot pay the mortgage on time. That's a little concerning to me as well. What are your initial thoughts on this, Nick?
I was thinking about it and I was like, all right, I gotta separate the two. Like I have my opinions on like this whole situation, like if this was someone I knew and they were asking me, and then I have like an answer for the questions that this person asked. And so just to preface it, my opinion on it, like quitting your job, staying at home to like take care of him in the house, like a stay-at-home girlfriend is not like a real thing in my mind. You know, like if it's serious enough to where you're gonna quit your job and take care of him, then he should be serious enough to be marrying you. You know, like in my mind, if you want to be a stay-at-home wife, no problem, or a stay-at-home husband, whatever it is, right? But at least you two have made a commitment to each other that you're in it together, right? And there's no there's a legal obligation, and then hopefully there's like an emotional obligation that you two have made. So yeah, in my mind, like I don't think you should have quit your job to stay at home and take care of him and the house unless he's like, hey, let's get married. Even if we just go down to the courthouse real quick, we do this thing, and then we can kind of plan out a party and all that stuff later. A lot of people tend to do that now. In terms of like what she's asking, should debt be considered with relationships? Lauren, I don't know. I feel like you and I have talked about this a lot. Like, I think it's okay for people to be at two different stages in their financial journey when they get together or when they get more serious or they're talking about getting married. I think the important thing, and we've mentioned this all the time, is that the values are there, right? Someone may be further along in their journey or someone may be kind of off base from where they want to be. But if they're both like, you know what, I want to make improvements to my financial life. I want to start paying off debt. I want to take money seriously. Where they happen to be in their financial journey is less important. And it's more important that you two are on the same page. So should the debt be considered? I mean, it's definitely something to think about, right? Like, are you so serious about this person that you're ready to commit to multiple thousand, I imagine tens, if not $100,000 worth of law school debt? Are you ready? Like, are you that serious about this person that you're ready to commit to that? Because in my mind, once you get married, like his debt, her debt, it all kind of falls together in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I am a little bit curious. Obviously we don't have all the answers to this situation, but why is he living paycheck to paycheck? I'm just wondering, probably does have
Yeah.
massive amount of student loans. Probably the mortgage doesn't help. So that's probably an answer right there. But I'm just curious how he's living his life. Like you said, I think
Yeah.
it's just going to depend on the values there. Like, are you seeing him like having wild credit card debt, outspending, buying things he
Hmm.
can't afford when he can't afford his mortgage on time? And I think you need to be able to recognize that, or is it something that you want to put up with or deal with? But yeah, it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. When I was in a relationship with my husband before we got married, like he had some credit card debt and we actually worked on paying off our debts like on our own plans. And that was like a shared value that we had. But yeah. And I think, the other question that she had was, should I be working? For me in this situation, yeah, I'm going to be working. You can
Yeah.
live together if you want. That's totally fine. But I'm not going to have no income. And then also, let's say you break up, you're also going to have nothing because you're not in a
Hmm.
legally, you're not in a relationship. So nothing is, there's going to be no assistance for you if you do move out on your own, and then you're going to have no income. So that could leave you in a pretty inconvenient situation. So should you be working? Yes. And like I said before, I think that you're going to have to and help a little bit with obviously the mortgage and some things around the house. But yeah, maybe talk about being a stay-at-home like wife or something someday when there is like a
Hmm.
legal sort of thing in place. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I have no problem with like people. I think it's a good idea if people move in with each other before they
Yeah.
get married. That way they can
Same.
kind of like, like test the waters a little bit. Like me and my wife, we lived together for a few years before we got married. And it was, I think it was a good thing because we learned a lot about each other. We figured out what are the things we have to do. So that's not, to me, the problem here. The problem is like, yeah, you have no protection for your financial life, your finances, for your future, if he decides to leave you, if he decides to do whatever. And it's same thing if the tables were turned, right? Like it'd be the same difference. But yeah, I think like if these two people were to like be like, all right, you know what, we are serious enough to get married, then I would say at that point it's probably worth it to, like, if you're a young couple, you're early in your financial journeys, both of you be work to pay off the debt, set up like your financial life, and then figure out, all right, how do we want our life to actually look? Like, do I want to be a stay-at-home wife, maybe a stay-at-home mom in the future? Do we both want to be working? Like, what do we want our lives to look like? After you get out of the debt, then you can kind of figure out how do we want it to look, and we can start working towards that.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I like, hopefully he had good intentions of wanting her to stay home. I like that maybe he suggested that. I think it was a little premature. I think just this whole situation is a little premature for where they're at in their relationship. Yeah, I definitely want to see you keep you said you have a small savings and a bit in your 401k.
Yeah.
Keep those in place, and don't, cash in anything or take all that out. But yeah, you should probably be working and maybe just, contribute to the household expenses a little bit. And then I don't like that he gave her like an ultimatum, like, make it out of this year or you can leave now. I don't know what that situation or conversation was about, but I would just say, work until you guys get married or whatever. And then, like you said, create a debt payoff plan and move forward with your finances that way.
Yeah. I always like to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the way this person worded it, that it's
Right.
like we can struggle together and then we can come out on the other end. Or like if you're not in this, you can leave. I'm not going to like hold you here. Right.
Yeah.
And then also like with the paycheck to paycheck thing, like it could be forced paycheck to paycheck, or it could be based on as a result of his lifestyle, right? Like the credit card debt, the overspending, like I'm a 6-figure lawyer, so I got to live my life a certain way, right? Or it could be like, you know what, I'm putting all my extra money on my debt.
Yeah.
I will say though, if you're late on your mortgage, that kind of leans more towards like the bad spending habits, but I mean, it's a possibility, but.
The information, opinions, and recommendations provided on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute professional financial advice. Any financial decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are your responsibility. We strongly recommend consulting with a licensed financial advisor or other qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that we are not liable for any financial outcomes.